Surprise! I released a game. So this is Nick from Neon Dream Games, and if you've been following my journey, you know that I just basically released a few videos that sort of led to me explaining that I was abandoning my game that I was working on, Fruits versus Veggies. And I did abandon that game. But I had the goal to release a game, and I wanted to release a game by the end of the year. I wanted to release it on Steam and have a commercially released game. That didn't happen, but I did look back, and one of the games I worked on during my tutorial phase, I've shown some footage of it in some of my videos, but it was the closest thing to a complete game that I have made. So I felt like I could go back and do a little bit of touch up on it and release it. Now I chose to release this game, which is called Martian Mayhem. It's a 2D platformer, pretty basic. There's 3 levels in it, but it's pretty brutal. At least that's what I hear from a few people who've tried playing it, including myself. It's actually pretty difficult to beat some of the levels. So it's up on itch.io, and I'll have the links for that in the description if you want to go check it out yourself. I released it as a free game with a donation if you want to. You don't have to, but totally up to you. Otherwise, it's free, and I wanted to just get something out there. And so, I don't know, I guess this video is going to be a little bit of a devlog for that game, and also just a little bit of just talking about releasing games and that subject. So I had recently watched a Thomas Brush video where he said you just need to release games. I've heard that there's a statistic of about 10 to 20% of indie game developers ever actually release a game. Most of them just get stuck in tutorial hell, or just, I don't know, they work on their dream game as their first game, and it just, they end up spending years and years making it, and it never comes to light. And I didn't want that to happen for me. And I really want to officially say that I am a game developer, a game designer, however you want to say it. And I had that goal, as I mentioned, to release a game by the end of the year. And I sort of felt like, okay, here I am. I'm abandoning this other game I'm making. At least for now. Who knows? Who knows if I'll go back to it? I never thought I would release this game. But I abandoned the other game, and I'm sort of left here at the end of the year, not releasing anything, starting over from scratch. And I just thought, what can I do? So, I watched this video from Thomas Brush, and even though I do still stand by my previous video, which talks about abandoning games and when to decide to do that, I know it wasn't right for me to keep going on Fruits versus Veggies based on how I felt about that game personally. And you can go watch that video for all the reasons for that. But at the same time that I recorded that video, I also watched this Thomas Brush video that he just said, release games. Everybody needs to release their crappy games, because you learn from that. And don't ever think that you're going to make your dream game on your first game, because truthfully, it's probably, you could try to make it, but it's truthfully probably going to be a piece of garbage. Nobody's first anything is ever the best thing that they've done, and you don't want it to be your best thing. I'm not saying you have to release, complete trash. I don't think the game I'm releasing is complete trash. It's simple. It's just a basic game. But it's difficult. So it's got that little piece to it. It's not going to win any awards, and it's one of the first things I made, so it could be programmed better. As I was going back through the code on that game, trying to add a couple things was very difficult, because I didn't do anything to show what I was doing in the code. I didn't leave notes or anything, so I kind of had to just sift through it and figure out what did what as I was trying to add some things. But you just got to release games. I tell it to my kids too. I say, just release stuff in whatever you're doing. I'm not talking about just games, but it's like everything in life. If you want to make music or write a book or create art, any kind. I mean, it's kind of like it's mostly pertains to art, I think, in that field. But you got to release something because that is what is going to help move you forward. For one, it gives you motivation. You get excited. You release something. You did something. You put something out into the world. And yeah, it might be crappy. It might be a piece of garbage almost, but everybody's got to do that before they get to those masterpieces. I don't know what my masterpiece is yet. It's probably down the road quite a ways from now. I still have a lot to learn, but that's the thing. I've learned from my failures, and I'm going to learn from releasing this game as well. So let's talk about this game a little bit. Martian Mayhem. It actually started out, the tutorial was called Martian Mike, but I didn't want to name it that. So I changed the name. I called it Martian Mayhem. It's a 2D platformer where you basically try to get around these obstacles. There's like giant saw blades that spin around and floating spike balls. And each level has a time limit. You got to get to the end of the level before the time is up, or else the level resets. And there's 3 levels. It uses sort of like a lot of jumping mechanics as far as, you've just got your basic jump, which honestly, it's not a great jump mechanic. I didn't improve that necessarily. So yeah, I mean, this game, it's got many areas it could improve on, but there's also these like jump pads that can jump you to different heights, and I had sort of fun with those on a couple of levels. And what I added to the game though was a coyote jump. I didn't know what that was until I watched some other devlogs from other people and just other tutorials and things over the course of the last few months. And that was always one of the things that I think people get frustrated. The few people that had played it was very precise as far as like if you went off the ledge, you could just fall, even though, anyways, I've since learned coyote jump helps alleviate that. So I had to figure out how to do that. I don't know if it's the best. I'd probably prefer to tweak it a little bit. I didn't want to spend a ton of time, working on this game, but I did add it. And honestly, I do think it helps improve it quite a bit. It helps save you a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't make it too easy. I also fixed the collision detection or edge detection on both the player and the obstacles, I guess we're going to call it. And you have just the tiniest smidge of leeway there. Before, I had the collision detection, especially on the objects themselves, like to the outer edge of them, and it just felt like you could just die so quickly or easily by it almost seemingly not even touching them. It almost seemed. So I fixed that, tweaked that just a little bit. And another thing I added was a pause menu. So I don't actually have a button in the game, which I probably should have added. Again, it's a simple game. It's a free game. I'm not going to worry too much about it, but the pause menu is triggered by hitting escape. I should have probably put a button somewhere on the screen, a visual thing to say you could pause, but it's enough the pause menu can take you back to the title screen. You can toggle the music on and off from that point. And I didn't add a sound effect toggle. I don't know, I probably should have, but I didn't. I just thought maybe some people would be more annoyed by the music. So music toggle, you can go back into the game or go back to the title screen. And from the title screen, you can quit the game and all that. So yeah, I mean, I didn't do too much to it, didn't add too much to it. It's a small game, but I gave it to my kids a while back. They haven't played this new version with a few little tweaks to it, but they got frustrated a little bit playing it. They did eventually beat all the levels. It's kind of one of those games where you just sort of got to learn the levels as you go, like memorize what's coming up and how to get past certain parts. So anyways, I'd love to hear what you guys think if you decide to play it, and come back and tell me what your thoughts are in the comments. I don't want this to be too long of a video, but I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this game and just the idea of releasing things, which I basically did. So that kind of leads me to, what's next? What's next for me as I wrap up this year and start into next year? If anything else, my plan is to work on some prototypes and see what I feel about those. If I feel strongly about one, I'll push it further into development for a game. I still have the goal. So 2025, the goal is to release a commercial game on Steam. I want to say, I'm giving myself the whole year to do that, but realistically, I want to do that within like the first 4 months of the year if possible. But I'm not going to pressure myself. There's a lot of other things going on in my life, so we'll see. I hope I get there. But for now, I released a game and it's out there. It's out there in the world. You guys can check it out for free. Donations happily accepted, but by no means do you need to donate. It's free and you can just check it out. So yeah, that's it. Until next time, I've got some new ideas for videos and things. So I really I think where this channel is headed and some of the things we'll be talking about in the weeks to come here. And even this game, I mean, I'm eager to sort of see what the feedback is, and I can talk about that in a future video if I get any feedback or people check out this game. So we'll see. But that's it. Until next time, keep YouTubing it up.
Thanks for checking out Neon Dream Games channel. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos we have to offer. Don't forget to leave a comment to suggest what kind of videos you'd like to see more of in the future. See you in the next video.